Good evening, everybody. My name is Jamie Humphries, and I'm coming to you live from sunny Northampton here in the UK, which is the Blackstar headquarters. And the purpose of this evening's short 30-minute webinar is to look at what we consider to be Rockstar Tones. There you have it. A lot of the time we get emails here, and I personally get a lot of emails from people asking me how I got certain sounds, or how do you get to sound like such and such. I want you to all kind of have a slightly open mind with this, because obviously people's tones are not just down to how they have their amplifiers set. There's many different factors before that, specifics to do with the guitar, specifics to do with the way that they play. So please bear that in mind. These are just going to be approximations of certain guitar sounds. And I've got a few effects down here. I've got a Blackstar valve overdrive pedal. I've got a Blackstar valve modulation pedal. I'm going to be using a couple of different modulation things today. And then I've got a delay set up, which is rigged up to the Series 1 for something a bit later. The amps that we're going to be focusing in on are the HT5R, which I'm going to kick things off with. Then we have a venue series. We have the HT Club 40, which is a very, very popular amplifier, so we chose to look at a couple of things with that. And then finally, we've got a Series 150 over there, and we're going to look at some sounds with that as well. So anyway, let's kick things off. Basically, we've looked through our list of requests for different types of tones, different artist tones. And I've looked at my extensive collection of backing tracks that I have, and basically bought a few in and lucked out that there were a few people that had asked for certain things that I actually have. There was a few that we'd obviously sort of preempted. So I've got some backing tracks that are taken from some of my books, my Giants of Rock book, my Giants of Metal book, and obviously the stuff that I do with Lick Library. So you're going to hear some tracks that kind of borrow ideas, which hopefully will really help to push the point home when it comes to tone. Anyway, we're going to start off with we're going to look at some Van Halen, which is always a good thing. Just to talk about guitars, obviously another thing to consider when you're getting someone else's tone is the guitar that you're using. If I'm getting an Eddie Van Halen tone, I'm not going to use a single coil guitar per se. If I'm trying to get a Hank Marvin tone or a Stevie Ray Vaughan tone, I'm not going to use a humbucker guitar. But then obviously, some of you guys are going to be on a budget, which is totally cool, and you might have one guitar which you're trying to do everything with. If you are using a single coil guitar and you want to try and get a bit of a fatter sound, just click the selector switch. You've got, I don't know whether you'd call that probably position number 1, then number 2, which would be like your bridge single coil and your middle single coil together, and that will hopefully fatten things up a little bit. When I play the Brian May guitars, a lot of the time that's the sound that we have on those guitars. And also, if, say, for instance, you're trying to get like a Hendrixy sort of tone and that nice woody neck tone, and you've got a humbucker guitar, especially something like a Les Paul, I would try putting it on the middle selector switch and then backing off the volume on both the neck and the bridge pickup, but back the bridge down a little bit, so you're kind of blending the two together. Remember to use your tone controls and your volume controls, because they really do alter the way that the guitar will sound and how it will first of all hit the amp. Anyway, let's take a look at the amp. We're going to be using the Crunch channel for all of our demonstrations with the HT5. If you want to hear cleans, then go somewhere else. No, only joking. If you want to hear some clean stuff, obviously you can go online and check out some of the demonstrations on there. But for the purpose of today, I've chosen some classic rock guys. So we're going to be using crunch, but different degrees of crunch, not total saturation. I am going to be using a bit of the reverb. This is a digital reverb. I should also point out that we're not mic'd up with DI, and we're coming out the emulated out. And if you do run the emulated out on a HT5R or on an HT1, you can actually run that in stereo. It's a stereo reverb, so you can use like a stereo cable and split that into a Y cable, like an insert cable, and go into 2 channels in your desk. So I've got a bit of reverb on there, which you can hopefully hear. I was thinking a little bit about the Van Halen 1 album, when you pan the pan control around, and you can hear guitar on one side and all reverb in the other side. So we've got the ISF control. Now, ISF is the infinite shape feature. Just to give you a brief explanation of that, because that's on all of the amps that we're using, and that is also featured on our HT pedals, our dual pedal, our dual distortion, the metal pedal on the distortion and the Distex pedals. It's basically, it moves the position of the mid-range around, but it's completely interactive with the bottom end and the top end. So for instance, if you're going to try and get an American sound, you're going to move it towards the lower mids and scoop or boost those. And if you're going to get a British sound, you'll go up towards the upper mids and you'll get a much more woody sound. So let's have a listen to the basic sound I've got at the moment. Crunchy. And it actually sounds pretty nice having it there in the British side. Van Halen had a little bit of mid-range in his tone. And you can hear with that reverb as well. So I've got the ISF round into the British side. Of course, what the other cool thing about the ISF is I've just spotted that someone's put I on the screen. Do you think now is the time actually to bring out the eye? I have actually got an eye patch here. I'd like to point out that I'm not actually wearing makeup. I have got a bit of a hurty eye, so we've got a pirate's eye patch for me to wear for those comedy moments. I can't believe that it's already happening. But anyway, so where was I? Yes, we've got the ISF round because, like I said, Eddie did use British amps. We know the British amps that he used. And what this actually does, it enables you to, take snapshots, if you like, and move the mid-range to wherever, you so desire it. Just remember that when amp companies have their own amplifier designs, they all have their own voices, and they all, the engineers that build these amplifiers will basically, voice the amps to the mid-ranges in a certain point. And with a Blackstar amp, it's possible for you to move that around. So anyway, got that into got that into the British side. I've got the treble about halfway, mid about halfway, and I've backed off a little bit of the bottom end. Pushed the gain a bit, not too much. I will point out that I've got an overdrive pedal on the floor. To give me a little bit more extra oomph for when it comes to solo time, and it wouldn't be a Van Halen tone without flanger on there. I could have really gone for it and run the delay pedal into the effects loop as well, and used a very short kind of echo. Anyway, I'm going to now attempt to play my short Van Halen style piece, and hopefully you enjoy this. And if there's any questions that you think of, keep them coming through. I would say that I can read them from here, but I can't. So is there anything of any interest going on the screen at the moment there? Alcohol won't help me. Where's their alcohol? Have I missed something? I had a cup of tea a minute ago. Anyway, here we go. And there we go. Oops, it's starting to play another track. Hopefully that sounded slightly Van Halen-ish. Have we got any interesting comments or feedback coming back yet? Nothing at all. Come on, chaps. What's that? So you all want to know about ID, but we're keeping you waiting. It's well worth the wait. Anyway, right, I'm going to now move on. And we had another request from a gentleman on a piece of paper. I would attempt to read out these names, and with the risk of sounding rude, obviously some of these gentlemen are from different parts of the world, and I would hate to insult someone by getting their name wrong. But anyway, we do actually have a request for some Jimi Hendrix. So what I'm going to do now is, with the wonders of the guitar that I'm playing, I'm using, my main guitar at the moment I'm using for this is the Music Man Reflex, and but it's got the Game Changer circuitry in it, which means that I can rewire the guitar. The genius thing about this is that I can put it to there, and I can pull out that, and now I've only got half of my neck pickup, which is great. So I get a nice, true kind of single coil sound. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the ISF very much into the British. I'm going to drop down the gain quite considerably and pull off the bottom end, and hopefully, still a little bit too saturated. Now another thing I'm going to add to this is I'm going to turn on the phaser, because the phaser, obviously we know that Jimmy liked to do a bit of a... I said earlier on about using the volume control. You can really hear when I back down the volume. Clean it up quite a bit. So I've kicked in the phaser there, and I'm kind of using that almost like a Leslie style. I do actually think we have actually got a rotary on this somewhere, haven't we? I'm sure. Yes, we have. We've got a rotary round here. So, and I can actually, with this button, I can hold this other switch down that you can't actually see, but you can trust that I'm pushing it. That sounds really cool. Okay, we're going to scrub the phaser, and we're going to use the rotary control on there. We're very much on the fly at the moment. So let's looking at the amp. I've got the ISF all the way into the British side. Actually, I'm going to pull off a little bit of the top end. Mid-range is still boosted a bit. We're going to try and get it a bit. I think that sounds pretty cool. Obviously, these are, like I said, these are approximations. Let me locate my Hendrix style track here on my little MP3 machine, wherever it's gone. It should be around here somewhere. There we go. Right, so this is a little track that I did for a guitar book of mine, and this is in the style of Jimi Hendrix. Just to recap really quickly, minimal gain, so it's pretty clean. So very, you know, I'm almost going to use the overdrive like a kind of fuzz. With the rotary pedal kicking in, it's almost like I'm adding, you know, the roto vibe. But for the main part of the rhythm, I'll go cleaner again. So we've got the ISF in the British. The treble is about just off halfway, middle up. Mid-range is halfway, and we've knocked off a bit of the bass, and the gain is down quite a bit. Anyway, let's check out the track. Here we go. hopefully sounded within the Hendrix ballpark. Have we got any interesting posts or anything yet? Anybody asking anything so far?
Someone's asking, will the HT5 cope with gigging through a cab?
Right, that's quite an interesting question. Can you mute my HT5 for a sec while I change guitars? Yep. The cool thing about the HT5 is the fact that it's got the DI on it. Now, I have used it in that environment, and it depends. Again, it depends what environment you're using it in. I've used it mic'd up, and I've used it DI'd. I don't think that you would ideally be able to power a full-blown pub gig with it. But because you've got the DI and because you can run it into a 4x12 cabinet, you can get quite a lot of beef out of it. Even if you're using, I can't work out how the guitar strap works, it's a mystery. Even if you are using just the combo, you can still run that into a 4x12. So, you know, if you want to take the plunge and have a go at it, then go for it. If you're in a band that you've got a decent PA, use the emulated out. The cool thing about the HT5Rs is that if you have the standby off like we have, we can run this head without a cabinet. We've not got a speaker cabinet after it, so it's taking the load. But if we put the standby on, we could run it through a cabinet and also into the PA. So if you have got a decent PA, or if you're playing venues that have got a decent PA and good monitoring, then yes, you know, it's a great sounding amp. I'm going to do one more track with it. Can we have the HT5 back, please? And we got quite a few requests for this gentleman, and this is a little impersonation of Slash. I was fortunate enough to have got to meet Slash recently for Guitar Interactive, and for part of that I had to do a lesson on Slash, so I came up with a Slash-alike track. Now, although Slash uses British amps, they're modded, so I'm going to move the ISF into the middle a bit. I'm going to pull out a little bit of mid-range, not too much, boost the gain a little bit, and now I don't want to go too crunchy on that because maybe add a little bit more bottom end to it. Again, it's kind of hard for me to sort of get this spot on exact in the kind of environment we're in, but these are kind of ballpark. I'm going to back off the tone a bit on the overdrive. Like I said, this is an HT drive pedal that I'm using. I just want to make sure that when I go onto the neck pickup, get a nice sort of smooth sounding overdrive. Other sounds that I'm going to use on this track, I'm going to stick very much to the crunch channel. But I'm going to back down my volume a bit, and then I've set a chorus pedal. So that really does. You can really hear that familiar sort of Sweet Child of Mine or Knocking on Heaven's Door clean tone. Again, maybe just a little bit more bottom end in there. Let's see how that's starting to sound. Okay, so even if, to me that's kind of an approximation, but it's a nice kind of modern crunch sound. What's that someone said there? Good to see, excellent, hello Dave from York, good to see you as well, excuse the pun. Anyway, where are we? Let's now have some blatant Slash ripping off. Hopefully you enjoy this track. I actually really like playing this track. And here we go. Here's my little Slash-alike, and hopefully this will give you some kind of approximation of a Slash tone. Watch out for the things that I'm doing on the controls of the guitar, like selecting between the neck pickup and the bridge pickup, and also backing down the volume. Remember that, backing down the volume really affects your tone. Here we go. And there we go. I don't know whether or not did we enjoy that? Did they enjoy that? Oh, good. I'm glad. This is going far too well. Right, would you mind muting the HT5, please? Right, we're going to do a little bit of a U-turn now because I don't want to just, cater everything towards the rock and hard rock guys. What does that say? It rocked. Wicked. Thank you. Cool. Very nice. What we're going to do now is we're going to change to the Club 40, and we're going to go back in time a little bit and look at the Beatles, believe it or not. The Beatles were suggested, and when I had my song list come through, I thought, Beatles, have I got anything? And then I realised that I did do a track a few years ago with a drummer friend of mine, Pete Riley, I can't remember what it was for, and we kind of emulated the Beatles, and so I did a new version of it. I think I may have used it on an early Blackstar demo, but anyway, that's besides the point. So what we're going to try and do here is get like an old sort of British sounding Class A amplifier. We all know which one it would be. It would be a 30-watt amplifier. We don't need to say any names. I'm going to, can we have the Club 40 on, please? Right, I'm actually on the clean channel, and I'm kind of cheating because I've set this sound up. Amazingly enough, we're using the tone control. It's just a single tone control on this amp. Let me just explain a couple of things about the Club 40, because this is really, really, very, very cool. On the Club 40, you've got a voice switch here, and since I've been sort of travelling around, what was that say? What? Cough Park? Is that where you live? A strange place. Weird. Anyway, where were we? That voice switch, basically, if it's out, it gives you a real Class A sound, and there's low power amp damping as well. So if you really crank that up, what's he saying now? Laughing, okay, excellent stuff. If you crank that up, you start to get overdrive, because if you have low damping on your power amp, it means that the power stage will crunch. If you apply high damping to that, it tightens it up the bottom end, but it also means that you get less crunch. So if I play on this setting now, we won't get crunch because we're not engaging the channel volume, sorry, the master volume. So there's our kind of, if you imagine it, actually I'm again, with the wonders of the mighty Game Changer, I'm going to pull my tone control. Now I'm only using that half of the bridge humbug. So a nice kind of thin, old school sort of tone out of it. If I push in the voice switch now, you'll get a Fender tone stack. So if I go, so someone asked for a Stevie Ray Vaughan tone. You can really hear, just by going to my neck single coil, because I've split the pickup, as I said before. Now if I take that voice switch out, go to the bridge where I've got a single, now it's all kind of thin and Class A sounding. So not really that much to talk about as regards to what I'm doing with the tone here. We've just got a reasonably bright sort of sound. So let me select my Beatles track. I am going to kick in the overdrive pedal for the solo. I must confess, I'm not too familiar with what an overdriven sort of Beatles tone would be. I'm just sort of thinking to things like something, I guess. So, oh, that's, there we go. Oh. So just a light, mild overdrive for the solo section. So you're here where I borrowed all of these ideas. I want to have your baby, Jamie. Excellent. I don't own one, sorry. If I did, you could maybe have it. There we go. Right. Very strange people. Is this the Beatles? Yes. You're going to hear where I've stolen some of these. Something to the AC/DC. What was that? Great for AC/DC. Cool, excellent. Right, here we go. This is the Beatles, your recognised riffs. There we have it. Hopefully that gives you an idea of some slightly different tones. You know, maybe you're into your Britpop sort of stuff. Remember that, you know, a few years ago, there was a massive resurgence of that sort of kind of music when we had Oasis and Blur and all of those, who else was there? There was loads of those bands, the Charlatans and all that kind of Manchester sort of scene that was bringing back a lot of the kind of Beatlesism. So that, if that's your thing, then obviously you can achieve those tones out of a Blackstar, or hopefully something like it. Anyway, how are we doing for time? Right, okay, right. What are we going to do? What should we do here? Cram in 2 more? Do you want 2 more tracks? King's X Tones. Oh, see, that'll be right up my street. But unfortunately, we've got things sort of set. But if you've really enjoyed it, obviously let us know, and maybe at some point we'll do a part 2 of this and do some more sounds. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the crunch channel of this amplifier, and again, I've kind of got a sound sort of set up. Trying to emulate Mr. Satriani a little bit here, which again is quite difficult. He's got quite a unique sort of sound on his guitar. So I'm kind of, you know, sort of a little bit blind on this. Blind, he says. But in terms of the guitar sound, I've gone for a slightly more American sound, a little bit of pulled out mid, and the ISF more into the American side. We're going to go full on sort of modern with this very shortly. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the talking because we're running out of time. If I just run through the controls, I've got the gain at about 2 o'clock. Volume about 10 o'clock, bass probably about halfway, just over 12 o'clock, mid-range at about 10 o'clock, treble at about 11 o'clock, and ISF about 11 o'clock. So quite a hard rock sound. And then I'm going to bring in the... you can hear I get plenty of sustain, and I'm DI. What was that one, Jamie? What? How about some Jamie Humphries style and tones? It's Rockstar Tones. There's another word that I can think of that sounds like rock. But I won't go into that. It's not those tones. Anyway, where are we? Let's go. Sorry about that. Where's my Sats track? Here we go. Right, this is a little track that I did for... this is a track that I did for Lick Library. It's kind of meant to sound a bit like Satch, so hopefully it will. Here we go. Wasn't very Satriani, but there you go. Oh, sorry, my band's trying to earn extra money by starting early. Anyway, we're going to, can we mute that one for me, please? That was, I can't read that. Where did I have the voice button? Right, on, oh, that's a good point, actually. I had a schoolboy error then. I actually had the voice button out, which is a bit naughty of me because we've got a voice button on the Crunch channel as well, which, oops, sorry, that would have probably given me a little bit more. Yeah, there you go, there's all my mid-range. Damn and blast. So you get that, you get that kind of honky sound going on there, but we live to fight another day. Anyway, let's, can we mute that, please? Right, now we're going to move over and I'm going to attempt to do something which, it kind of went okay. There's a certain gentleman that's been, oh, I'm standing on all my stuff, hold on, let me plug that in there. Right, we're going on to the Series 1 now. Now, the Series 1 is a very different beast to what we've been looking at. It has the same EQ, but then we have the DPR, which is the dynamic power reduction, which enables us to experiment with where our crunch comes from, basically. We can drop the power down and get more power amp saturation, or we can crank it and get more preamp saturation, get cleaner headroom. But just because we're running out of time, I've chosen to use this amplifier to get a little bit of a kind of scooped heavy sound. I've also introduced another effect here. My guitar is completely down-tuned. I'm using my very pretty custom-built Axis. You can hear we've got a nice little bit of delay on there. I'm also going to bring in some chorus. Yes, you've guessed it. It's time for us to attempt to do some Metallica. I've got the clean tone. Basically, we've got a shared EQ. So the bass is round about 2 o'clock. The mid-range is way down on about 8, 7 o'clock. The treble is about halfway. We could probably push that a little bit more. I'm trying not to stand on leads and unplug everything. You can probably just see my leg on the screen at the moment. And then the ISF is all the way into the American side of things. It's a shared EQ. So we've got, I'm opting for a more single coil sound. Yes, I am using a guitar with P90s, but my bridge P90 isn't actually a regular P90. It's actually hot rodded. So it's very, it will do all that kind of thing quite well. Also, my guitar is drop tuned by a whole tone, so everything's down. Should we say our goodbyes and play out on this track? What do you think? I hope, obviously it's been a bit rushed. We've put as much in as we possibly can. I've had a real lot of fun this evening. I'm hoping that I'm not going to crash and burn on this last track. There's one little bit that should have a click track in it for me to know the tempo change. So if in the middle it goes a bit wobbly, it's until I hear the drums, I know where I am. Hopefully this has helped. The cleans that I should just mention before I go, I'm using warm clean on this and I'm using super crunch and I'm adding a little bit of extra crunch with the overdrive pedal. I'm using the linear delay on the delay pedal, which is just like a regular digital delay. And on the modulation, I'm using the vintage chorus. So that's it from us here at Blackstar headquarters in Northampton. I'm going to play you out with a Metallica sound-alike that came from my Giants of Metal book that we recently re-recorded for a Lick Library piece that I did. I've had a lot of fun. Any information that you're after, just you know, go to the website www.blackstaramps.com and you can check them out also on YouTube. YouTube. Anyway, here we go. I'm going to play out with some Metallica. I hope I don't fall on my bottom. and I hope you all have enjoyed it. And all I'm going to say is, good night, everyone, from Blackstar. I had to do it. I'm really sorry. That was terrible. Here we go. Where's the track? Get me out of here. Here we go. Here's Metallica. See you later, guys. Thank you.